All right, so this is round one of the Nogi division at the Revolution, and this is also the first time I'll be fighting a black belt in tournament. So off the bat, he's going to catch me with a quick dummy sweep, but I'm making sure to post here on the shoulder and then turn my hips out. That way, if he does grab a leg here, he's grabbing the top leg, which means my bottom leg can post up to allow me to rise back up to my feet. For example, this is what happens when you go collar tie. I'm able to capture that bottom leg, which doesn't allow him to get back up because his hips are trapped, whereas when I'm posting on the neck, it allows me to scoop my hips back and get back up. So funny enough, I think I actually stood longer in this match than I did for the entirety of the rest of the tournament. Normally I would pull guard, but I'm most comfortable passing, and against a black belt, I really want to get into that passing game, so I was hoping he would pull, and off the start when he attempted that dummy sweep, I felt like he was more of a guard player, so I wanted to wait to see if he would sit. And one thing I really like that he's going to do right here too is he always pulled with connection, and he was always off balancing me immediately as he pulled guard, which made it really hard for me to kind of step back and get into that outside passing game. And even here, he drags me into close guard, so now I have to work out of the close guard. And as I'm doing that, he attempts that dummy sweep again. But once again, we're posting on the head, making sure to turn the hips. That way my bottom leg is free and I can sit back up to my feet. Now, I don't know what the fuck got into me on this part, but I was like, you know what? Black belt, round one, fuck it, flying triangle. So we attempted that, but my flying triangle is not as good as my hip bump triangle. So unfortunately, we just pretty much pull guard, and we're actually going to try this arm bar here. He starts passing, but I'm able to get that tricep grip, so I swing into the arm bar, but I knew it wasn't too tight as he had a really good stack on me and was defending with the arm already. So we're just going to swing to close guard. Now, close guard is not just boring to me, but I know it's boring to YouTube, so I just had to open the guard, and he sits in headquarters. Being a knee cut person, I'm not too worried about headquarters, and I'm pretty knowledgeable on how to defend it, so it's not too much of a threat here, especially because I don't see him really looking for that knee cut, and he's more just looking to pressure pass, so I know if I keep my hips flared, it's going to make that really hard for him. After a little bit of grip fighting, he's going to stand up and step back into the outside pass, lifting up one of my ankles and looking for a leg drag. Now, one of the best ways to defend this outside pass is wrist grips. So as you can see, I'm grabbing both wrists, and what I'm doing with my right hand here is I'm pushing this wrist into his chest, which should get this elbow off of my thigh and allow me to high leg. In a more recent match, the way I'm using this, my elbow goes to the far side of my opponent's thigh and starts pressing the hips to the opposite side. However, to achieve this, it's essential that I keep this right hand posted on his ribcage and flare my elbow onto the thigh. From a defensive standpoint, we need to address that hand immediately. So as you can see, as soon as Parker gets that leg drag, I'm immediately pushing the hand into his chest, and I'm able to re-guard. However, he does get his fist posted between my legs, making it really hard for me to bring my bottom leg back into the equation. But once again, using that wrist grip, pushing it into his chest, and shrimping out to recover. Now, he's about to do some heinous shit to me right now, as he literally steps over, almost into mount, and he takes my back off of this. I don't really remember what that's called. I've seen it done before, but I can't believe I fell for that, and it gets worse later in the video, but we'll take a look at that later. Right now, I have to defend the back, so my goal for back defense is always knees to the ceiling and back to the mat. This should put my back flat, and I'm going to use the mat to actually scrape him off. Now, he does transition to mount in this, but I'm able to get that foot inside. Not before he gets points though. However, this creates a scramble where I'm able to get that top hook and peel it off, and I had to take a risk there of him sinking in that choke as I was going for that because, you know, one of my hands is now occupied taking off the hook, and he could have sunk in the choke there, but fortune favors the bold, and we're able to escape the choke and get on top. And that risk paid off incredibly. Not only did we escape the choke, but we got on top, and we got to a position where I knew against anybody that day, I could create a crazy threat. And we begin with the first pass of the round. Pretty sloppy. I wasn't able to quite get my leg out in time, but I've been working on that since this tournament, and I've addressed that mistake. So definitely won't see that hook coming into play anytime soon. Hopefully in my future matches, but he's able to get that weird like butterfly hook, and it's going to create a little bit of a problem for me, but it actually works out as we'll see coming up. So we reset, and Parker still has that hook, and what he's going to do is he's going to use that to lift my hips and elevate me, and he'll be able to re-guard. Now that's key word, re-guard, which means he re-established a guard, which also means I can now pass again for 3 points. So I find the underhook, I find the knee cut, and we dive in for another 3. So to break that down, Parker has a butterfly hook here on my left leg. The way I'm going to cut through that is by first kicking my heel up to my butt and then shooting my knee through that open space. You're kind of leg pommeling over the butterfly hook while simultaneously knee cutting as well. Another really important thing you're going to see here is I go for a deep underhook and shift my head. That way I'm ear to ear with him, and what this allows me to do is really staple myself down onto this upper body connection and allow my right leg to kick off his quarter guard and free my foot. Also notice the grip on the tricep, pulling that hand above my hip, that way he can't push my hips away. My next move is I'm going to connect my knee and elbow across his hip line here. This gives me 2 points for the knee on stomach, and it evens out the score. So we had to dig it from the grave, but we're now 8-8. Unfortunately, but fortunately, Parker reguards again. I'm keeping in mind, as he recovers, I'm putting myself in a position that I can once again attack from. So immediately diving back on the knee cut, using the same strategy as last time, moving ear to ear, stapling myself down, and securing another guard pass to put me in the lead. So just to sort this out in our head, we were down 8-0 at the start of the match. However, because I've spent so much time in the guard passing element of jiu-jitsu, even against a black belt, the mechanics are the same. And because I've spent a considerable amount of time recently studying those mechanics, I was able to win these positions. But getting back into the match at hand, I'm trying to move the mount, but Parker does a good job shrimping out and taking that knee off his chest. So I switch to a Kimura grip, making sure to crowd this area. And as he goes to try to bridge out of the back take, I'm able to insert the hooks, and we collect another 4 points, putting us in a very strong lead against Parker. The way I look to attack the back is part of the mat chest system. So if you guys are interested in learning that, come on down to Seattle. So I'm making sure my bottom hand here, this is the choking hand, is always grabbing the wrist, and the underhooked hand is grabbing my wrist. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my elbows just past the shoulder and neckline and create a lot of tension on this wrist by flaring my left elbow here up, raising the elbow, and pushing my right elbow down, pushing on his shoulder. And it's that twisting motion of using your elbows as levers with the attachment of the wrist grip that allows you to create tension and trap your opponent in the back. Also notice I actually opted to go for one hook in, and my left leg is kind of doing a back hook on his calf here, and this prevents him from turning to the left. But as I go in to attack the choke, my right leg comes across the chest as a bar, and I try to apply hip pressure, that way I can keep his hips down, but because that hook left, he is able to turn to the left, and from here I can feel him getting out, so I just throw in a rear naked choke and hope for the best. But unfortunately he is able to get his back to the mat and recover, but immediately we're finding that underhook again using a Dante Leon style of knee cut. Now right here, I much rather would have stayed on top, but I could feel him using that head tension grip to push me away and create space, so I really had to fall over onto the arm, which isn't ideal. This armbar is really hard to finish against good people, and you're gonna see he does get out of it and end up on top. And then this shit happens, and it hurts my soul to watch this again. Luckily, I was able to recover the foot the first time, but as he threatens to take the back, I use my back defense and I put my back to the mat, knees to the ceiling, and he does manage to go back in a mount and score 4. So the score right now is 13-12, meaning if he scores any other way, he'll win. There's 25 seconds left on the clock, so it's anybody's game right now. You're gonna see me just stare at the scoreboard and hope for the best. I'm just defending, we literally have maybe 10-15 seconds now, and my coach will start counting it down. At this point, I'm like, all right, just hang on. And we manage to avoid the points, we manage to avoid that armbar, and I end up beating my first ever black belt in a tournament. If you guys want to watch how the rest of the bracket went, click this video here, or if you want to watch the gi division, we also have this video right here. But that's going to do it for this video. So if you guys liked it, make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. So go pass some guards.